Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Fiscal Talk. I have the pleasure to announce my dear colleague, our legal expert and consultant at Fiscal Solutions, Nikolina Basić. Nikolina, welcome to Fiscal Talk.
Hello, Theodora. It is my pleasure to be again in Fiscal Talk, especially when we have interesting subjects, which we are, let's say, in the more precisely way, describe some requirements in particular country. And today on the menu is Italy.
Yes, finally, we
Yes.
got some sun. We keep talking about Italy, and we finally got even better weather. So,
Yes.
thank you for talking about fiscal requirements in Italy.
You're welcome.
You are definitely an expert on the topic, especially for Italy and fiscal requirements in Italy. But today we are talking about a more specific certification procedure of RT servers. For all our audience, if you don't know the difference between RT printers and RT servers, those RT devices that are obligatory to use in Italy since 2020, you can definitely watch our previous fiscal talks, because in those fiscal talks, Nikolina explained everything. And today, Nikolina, I'm looking forward to finding out all the information for you. Please share with us what is the internal procedure and what is the certification process for RT servers.
Okay, thank you, Theodora. So, if we talk about that internal control process, we can say that taxpayers who have more than 3 points of sale in one store and using RT server for electronic storage and transmission of the payment data to the tax authority, they need to equip themselves with obligatory procedure, which is called internal control procedure or particular certification procedure, which is a little bit different than, let's say, a regular certification procedure. So that procedure needs to be in relation to administrative and accounting IT system processes, which needs to be certified and done by the auditor, which is usually some university institutes in Italy. So that whole process of that internal control needs to be, of course, declared with compliance with the provisions of the regulation and other requirements which are described in those regulations. So the taxpayer is obliged to describe in the document process all requirements which will be controlled and certified by the auditor. And the auditor is the one who defines on basis of what actual regulations is, will that certification of the RT server will be performed. So that whole control procedure needs to respect at least some minimum requirements. And that means that that control is conducted on the level of the single cash register or of the method of cashier, of method of payment. And that control procedure needs to be divided in the following or some phases into the company, which needs to store this information in properly described internal documentation and needs to be electronically stored for a period of 10 years. And to be more precise, that whole certification procedure is conducted in two parts. First part is the testing phase, and in that part, the retailer permits the auditor to perform testing in the data center, and it's provided on POS or one RT server for performing the simulation of the sales using all of the methods of payments, verification, or other situation. And the second part is a certification phase, which they will check, let's say, real data. And that system, and that, let's say, will be finished. In that verification, they will check the system architecture, the modality of assigning and defining the serial number of the POSes, verification of the layout of the commercial document, verification of different payment methods, and so on. And the retailer is obliged, as already mentioned, to prepare adequate documentation before auditor can perform the testing of the system. So that documentation is usually in relation to architecture of the IT system and description of the functionalities and documentation in relation to software implement on the level of the POS and so on. So this is that procedure in really short terms.
Great explanation, Nikolina. Very detailed information. Thank you. I just want to ask you a little question at the end. Usually, we have time periods when these processes needs to be repeated. Can you tell us if that is the case also in Italy with RT servers?
Yes, it needs to be done at least every 3 years.
Okay, so that's important to keep in
Yes.
mind. Thank you so much for explaining this important topic about fiscalization in Italy. We're slowly coming to the end of this fiscal talk, so I would like to invite our audience to follow us next week for more interesting information and knowledge about fiscal topics. If you have any additional comments or questions, please comment below, and also visit our Fiscal Portal, the place where our fiscalization experts like Nikolina work day in, day out to make sure you are updated and well informed with all the fiscal important questions and topics around the world. Nikolina, thank you so much again for being our guest and sharing the knowledge you have. And to all our audience, we will see you next time. Until then, have a great day and goodbye.
Bye-bye.